Welcome to the Alcohol Beverage Board of St. Mary's County, December 9th, 2021 meeting. As we prepare to open for the meeting, here are some of the guidelines. Public meetings are now open to the public. This public hearing is being televised live on St. Mary's County Government TV 95 and the county's YouTube channel. It will remain available for on-demand viewing on the St. Mary's County Government YouTube channel. My name is David Willenborg. To my right is Member Watts, Richard. Mr. Cole. To my left is Member Barbara Hill. And we're welcoming our new member, Richard Shin. And the audience is Tammy Hildebrand, the administrator, Chris Beaver, our attorney, Susie Dean, the recording secretary, Kevin Hall, our inspector, and Sergeant Steve Myers is absent today. First item on the agenda will be to approve the agenda for the December 9th meeting today. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I make a motion we approve the agenda.
Barbara Hill makes a motion to approve the agenda. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Member Watts seconds. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. Thank you. Next item is to approve the meeting minutes from 10 November 2021. Have we had time to review the minutes? Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from 10 November?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
So we have a motion to approve the minutes from Member Cole. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Barbara Hill seconds. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? Thank you. Okay, now we'll move on to old business. So extension of conditional approvals on the Jamaican Grill, is that right?
Yep.
Okay. Yo Heavy, requesting 90-day extension of conditional approval. Please come forward, sir. Present your application.
Sit right in the middle and stand.
You hereby declare and affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name and your home address for the record and have a seat.
Heavy, home address 22969 Crimson Lane, California, Maryland 261.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so trying to get a 90-day extension for the Jamaican Grill LLC alcohol license because it just got approved from LUGM, Land Use and Growth Management, for the outdoor seating. It's just I need to make the payment, and then that'll be it.
Okay.
So it's his use and occupancy moving from his sole proprietorship to LLC.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? No?
No, that's pretty straightforward. I mean, when you came with the original application, again, just it was a sole proprietorship, changed into an LLC, just had some paperwork to fill out with LUGM and
Yes,
understand that correctly?
that's correct.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no issue.
Do we have a motion to approve?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the 90-day extension for Yao Heavy and the Jamaican Grill.
So we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Members, Richard Chin made his first motion.
Second.
So he seconds it. Do we have any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Good luck, sir.
All right, thank you.
Good seeing you again.
Yeah.
Next item, Morris Point Restaurant, Christopher and Deborah Susanen, requesting 90-day extension of conditional approval. Please come forward, sir.
You hereby declare and affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, please have a seat. State your name and your home address for the record.
Chris Susanen, 22570 Keyway in Leonardtown, Maryland.
Okay, sir. Go ahead and present your,
So we are in the application process with land use for approval of the seasonal tent. And there's many, many hurdles to get over for this. So everything has been filed. We have to wait our turn for a hearing. And that's why I'm here asking for an extension of
okay,
90 days.
okay. Any questions?
Yeah, so I guess I don't recall this original application. So this is an extension of premises to a tent, to a temporary outdoor extension of premises?
Seasonal outdoor
Seasonal.
seating is what he's looking at, yeah.
I believe this is the one we had a discussion about the path that
Correct.
that the,
Yeah,
remember?
Okay, yep.
and Mr. Susanna has amended the drawing to put that in.
Right.
Everything, we're just waiting on Lugum.
Okay, all right. So we need 90 days extension to get Lugum's approval.
And the way Lugum's backed up for hearings, I don't know if, he might be back.
Sure.
Back.
It's possible.
We hope not.
Hopefully not,
but
but
yeah,
possible.
Chris, we hope by that time, the spring, he's ready to roll, but
Okay. Okay, I have no further questions.
Okay. Anybody else have questions? Can I get a motion to approve?
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve the 90-day extension of approval to Christopher Susanen and Morris Point Restaurant.
90-day extension. Do we have a second?
I'll go ahead and second that.
Richard Chin seconds it. Member Watts was the initial motion. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. The ayes have it. Unanimous. Good luck, sir.
Thank you very much.
Karen, did we have a letter
yes.
from his wife?
Yes.
Okay, next is, we're moving on to new business. Officer member trade name change. AMC Lexington Park 6, removing Juliana Levitt
Yes,
and adding Samuel Shane Cooper.
correct.
So what do we need to do with this? Just
Motion.
approve it? Okay. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the officer change on the LLC for Julian Levitt, removing Julian Levitt and adding Samuel Shane Cooper for AMC Lexington Park 6.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. The original motion was from Mr. Watts, seconded by Member Hill. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. It's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, now we'll move on to our Board Administrators Report. Tammy?
Okay, so, and we've only had 3 requests for New Year's permits. So since we have a lot of new members, Mr. Cole knows the rules, and I think Mr. Willenborg, you've been here for 1 New Year's, but for the benefit of the new members, New Year's permits allow businesses, restaurants and bars predominantly, liquor stores can, it's not for off sale at all, but it allows them to extend their hours of service past 2 a.m. to the 6 a.m. From 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. normally they need to be closed. However, during New Year's, they can stay open as long as they provide free prepared food. So as the years have gone by, a lot of places do not have New Year's parties that extend past 2 a.m. Some of them got it just in case, but most of them would close. Once that midnight hour came, it was more like cleanup, and a lot of our people just wanted to go home because they were exhausted. But we have 3 that are taking it out this year. Seabreeze, OCI Pizza King, and who was the last one? VFW. Okay, so you have the paper there, sir. And again, the rules are that they have to give away prepared food during that 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. hour. And they cannot do any off sales, meaning nobody, if they can't sell a six-pack of beer or anything after 2 a.m. to go. All right. And I'm sorry I didn't send that to you because the deadline for them to put their applications in was Monday, and I just didn't get it out to you. My apologies.
Who are the three again? Tammy Seabreeze?
Seabreeze, VFW, and OCI Pizza.
Just the VFW in California?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
So in order to get that application, they also have to go be vetted through the health department. The health department has to sign off on it. We did have one restaurant that put it in, but they just brought it to us. They didn't bother to get the health department to sign. We tried to, they were supposed to come back in and take care of that, and they never did. So this is the only time the board can approve it before New Year's, so it is what it is. I mean, they could stay open to the regular 2 a.m. It's not like they can't have a New Year's event. But they have to, 2 a.m., everybody turns into a pumpkin.
Mr. Beaver, I am a member of the Veterans of Foreign War. Should I recuse myself from this vote? Actually, of this post?
Yeah, if you feel there's a conflict there, I would say yes.
Okay, thank you. But I can conduct the vote, correct?
Right, you can still act as chairman, you just can't engage in discussion or vote.
Okay, very good. So, we have a motion to approve this.
I'll make a motion that we approve the request of the three venues to extend their hours on New Year's Eve. Actually, it'd be New Year's Day from 2 until 6 a.m.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
So, Member Cole was the first member motion. Second is Member Hill. Do we have any discussion?
Yes. So, I mean, again, can't be off-premise.
Correct.
Has to be on-premise.
Right.
Are they planning on parties? Are they, I guess...
It used to be, it's not private parties, if that's what, is that what you're going for? Like,
Yes.
no. It's usually just the venue having a party for its members or its customers who want it somewhere to go on New Year's.
Right.
And ring in the new year. So it's general business as usual, but with the New Year theme. Now, I know like OCI, and you can always go on her webpage, she always posts videos and photos from and it's just her local regular customers come in, and there's food, and, I think initially, and Kevin, you can help me out with this because you understand, you had like your VFWs and your clubs doing New Year's Eve parties for members.
Right.
All right, and that was the big thing. And then they would wind up doing breakfast after 2 a.m., and they would maybe have mimosas or something like that, a lighter fare, and get everybody sobered up to go home, we
Right.
hope, right? That's what it was, right? But no, it's just an evening for people to go out and have a venue to go to.
Yeah.
Like I said, we used to have a lot more of these requests when I started a few years back. We're down to 3, and of course, COVID. Last year, we didn't know with COVID if they'd be
Right.
allowed to do it. So we did approve a few requests pending no change with COVID on what they could do. But I think COVID's cut it in half. People are still not comfortable going out, and therefore providing free food becomes quite a burden.
Sure.
So, and then of course there's also the DUI. Over the years it's just cut down because with DUIs people are afraid to be driving past the 2 a.m. You're more apt to be looked at. So
Yeah, I guess that's my concern. I mean, from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m., New Year's Eve, a lot of, because of the events of, what's going on in society today, let me just say, there's a lot more unrest these days.
Right.
Not just in, certainly even in our county. Not that I expect, VFW's customers to be getting too rowdy, but I guess I don't necessarily see the benefit to it, right? I mean, people can't ring in the new year and then still have another 2 hours to consume alcohol and celebrate the new year. What value does it bring to them and the community to continue that from 2 to 6? I mean,
I couldn't
certainly they
answer
can.
the beginnings of this. It was way before my time. I think it was just a tradition. I mean, I remember growing up, my parents going out all hours, not coming home till the dawn
Right.
on New Year's, But it was a different world then, true enough. It's just, I guess, something that's kept up in the county, but like I said, is falling away.
Yeah.
Every year we have less and less, I mean, I remember for my predecessor having to do pages of labels out to our businesses with applications, whereas now Susie maybe sends out 9, 10. We send out to whoever asked the previous year and to any new businesses that would qualify.
Right.
And like I said, this year we got 3. So,
Question for you, Tammy. Do you know what the other boards in Maryland,
what their New Year's,
what they do about this? Do they have something similar to this?
I'm not sure. I think some do. Every county is different, and then the rules change. They can change their local stuff. I mean, ours is in code for an extension of hours exception. But I'm honestly not sure what the other counties do. I can look that up and give that to you at a later date.
Yeah, maybe so.
Just for information. But, I mean, if you're going to vote, this is the last time we can vote on approving these prior to New Year's, obviously.
If I may add, 2 of the businesses that I sent out to haven't even been open since COVID.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a lot of that.
So,
Okay.
and some of these places are bars that don't normally serve food. So they have food brought in. That's why we have to have the health department
Yeah.
Right.
approval. And when they bring in food, they bring in a lot of food.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I certainly love the idea of, the after-hour parties and having food. I'm just not so comfortable with the alcohol side of it.
Understood.
I just think it
And I think well, Seabreeze is open year-round, but some of our seafood houses that would participate, they're seasonal, so this is like the end of the season
sure.
hoorah.
Richard, do you think this is something that the board should address, take a look at, to continue this practice, or what are your thoughts on that?
Like in the future, you mean?
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, like anything. I mean, it's it's a service to the community, right, and to the patrons of the community, and we want to be able to make sure that we are a part of and enabling that service, right? But at the same time, there's obviously the safety aspects, the legality aspects that we as a board have to be concerned about, and certainly I think there's room for more thought and consideration on the benefits this brings to the community. I don't know that we can necessarily have that discussion today with respect to this. It's
Well, I do know OCI down in Piney Point. There's not a whole lot to do in Piney Point.
right. Yeah, like I said, I'm a fan of the after parties, right? And where there's food and people can take their time to sober up for New Year's, and I think those are great, and I hope to see more people do that.
And I,
For me personally, I'm just not comfortable with extending alcohol from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. I don't see the benefit.
They're not extending it after 2, are they? I mean.
yes,
That's the
it is the
Oh, yeah.
alcohol service.
Yeah.
That's the request.
That's what the
It's just-
permit's for.
okay,
Yeah, so it
okay.
does include the alcohol, yes.
Right. That's what concerned me. And so I
And
would-
that's why the board had, when they made this, required the free food at that point in time, because, and it's required, so that the patrons, even though they're continuing to drink, they're also eating, which does slow the absorption of the alcohol.
yeah. Of course, hopefully, well,
And in some cases, like I said, it's just breakfast and,
mimosas.
yeah, to tinge over the
More
New
than
York.
likely, at that point, they're
Over,
already.
I
already a
know,
little
I know my
schnockered
dad
anyway.
used to mix some kind of concoction for Mom, which had a little bit of
Yeah.
kick to it, so she wasn't feeling too rough on New Year's Day. Sorry.
So if I could add a little bit, so I understand where you're coming from, but at the same time, I also understand from a business perspective a little bit. So these guys are trying to make some revenue, trying to brainstorm different ideas and stuff. Obviously, I'm not for people getting, wasted into the all night and all that, but I think that's the question you were asking. What do the other counties do? Do we have any type of information regarding use of alcohol through the night, whether that has some correlation to, from the public standpoint, undesired behaviors or what have you? Is there anything to
New Year's Eve is-
justify whether this is okay or not? Or,
Well, I understand
it
what
just
you're
seems like
saying.
we're kind of trying to wing it qualitatively, right? So,
New Year's Eve is probably always going to be a busy night for law enforcement. However, to correlate that to just businesses having an event versus folks having events at home
yeah.
would be difficult, a jump to make. Again, our businesses are still legally open till 2 a.m., service to 2 a.m. So, and that's when most of them, like I said, they ring in that New Year's hour, especially our bars, they ring in that New Year's bell, and then it's like, all right, folks, we've been busting our butt since Thanksgiving. Can you go home now?
So from business and folks that may want to get together, especially in the midst of all this COVID chaos, there's a lot of desire for people to want to sort of get together and party, if you will, right? So I'm sympathetic from that perspective. Perhaps, this is a case study for us to look at while we investigate other counties and stuff, but I'm not sure, unless we have something substantive at this point to say, vice qualitative, say, hey, we don't think it's a good idea. I think we may not be doing justice from a business perspective, who's trying to do something to get, perhaps expand their business or what have you for this just one time. So I'm on the side of being a little more sympathetic from the business perspective.
Yeah, certainly. No, I'm with you there. Obviously, a huge proponent of small businesses, being a small business owner myself. But if they're having to cater in, bring in food, it seems like, I'm not sure how much that's going to necessarily increase revenues. Maybe just simply offset things, but
that's part of the enterprise, right? They decide to try this, give them a chance, give them a shot. If that doesn't work out, I'm sure they're not going to do that next year.
Before the COVID thing, how many did we used to have to apply for it? Was it
What
a
do we
bigger
have?
demand?
No, it's been dwindling.
Yeah.
We had over 20.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, that was way back. Look how much it's been dropped off, because of, people, I think,
And then the last couple of years before COVID, we were probably.
I think it was before COVID that it dropped off.
yeah, that's what I'm
You know?
asking. I said, so before that, it had really dropped
Yeah,
off?
it has.
So, we have 3, so.
I mean, when I was in Susie's position with my predecessor, we probably had almost 30 requests when I started. It's dwindled.
Every year
Every
since
year.
I've been here.
Yeah.
It's dropped down.
Do you recall from those days whether there were a lot of
Was there
problems?
problems?
Yeah.
Pardon?
Did you have
I don't
issues?
recall any major issues. I mean, our biggest issues, because we give the list to law enforcement so that they know who's allowed to speak when they do their evening patrol, checking whether bars are open or closed. that's how they know, oh, you have extended hours. We've never received anything from our extended hours any different than from our 2 o'clock, nobody getting extended hours on that night. So it's a busy night for law enforcement,
So it's
period.
never really gotten out of hand? in any
Not
sense?
to my recollection. Of course, we're always the last to know.
Okay. Or discussion done?
And I would be happy to bring in that data next meeting, and you guys can discuss if you want to reevaluate whether New Year's is
So,
wise.
okay.
But that would be a change, realize you would have to make that change in code because it is in the code. So it would have to be a legislative change.
Thank you. Any discussion?
I would suggest, Mr. Chairman, that we table this until a future date
You
as
can't-
to...
Can't table it. This is,
Table it.
there's two things.
No,
You're right.
no. What I'm saying is to whether this is, something to continue.
Oh.
I certainly think that it would be advantageous to have the ownership appear and say, yes, it's a valuable resource for us, or no, it's not. That sort of thing. I also think, is anybody else in the state doing this? I don't know.
They're two different topics. We can get it on the agenda for a future meeting and have a discussion about it, because like they said, it's going to remove it from code
Right.
if you wanted to
Right.
do that.
Right.
So I think we're talking about two different things here.
Agreed.
One is this want to be rescinded from our regulations is has nothing to do with these 3 permits for
Right.
extended hours.
Mhm.
So I think we vote on this, and if you would like, we can have a motion to put it on the next month's agenda as a second item afterwards.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and motion.
You actually, there's a pending and a second.
Okay, gotcha.
Just-
So you made a motion?
There's a pending and a
I made the
second.
motion.
I second it.
Barbara seconded the motion on the approval of these 3.
You to approve these 3?
Now we need to
Right,
vote on it.
right.
Okay. So we have a first, we have a second. Now we can enter into any more discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have 3 ayes,
Opposed.
we have 1 nay, and we have 1 abstained. The motion passes.
Okay.
It's approved. Now, Mr. Beaver, do we need to make a motion to put on the agenda next month?
You don't need to make a motion.
Okay,
I'll just put it on. You've tasked me.
Okay.
I'll get as much info as I can and put it on next month's agenda.
okay,
You can
excellent.
start the talk then, and then we can open it up. If desired, we can open it up to our retailers to come speak to it.
Okay, you
Very
good with
good.
that?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Excellent.
It would be good also to have these 3 particular retailers give us some real-time data on how things went for them this year as well.
Sure. Sure. Okay. You ready
Still
with the
have it.
budget?
Yep.
All right. So, to make it easy, everything in this budget, we did not ask for more funding for anything but the inspector's vehicle. For the benefit of Mr. Shen, the current vehicle we have is what we call a donor car. It's an old police car that's not even on the salvage list. It's beyond salvage. And we've been lucky over the years to get donor cars, and there were replacements when the donor car was not donatable anymore. This donor car, Transportation has told us, and she's been through a few repairs, has quite a bit of police mileage on there. Definitely, when our inspector goes up for training up in Annapolis or Ocean City for a conference or whatever, we would never, anything outside the county, we wouldn't take this car to, okay? But transportation has said when this one dies and it's not repairable anymore, they currently do not have any more donor cars available. And they have for quite a while now suggested that we put in for a vehicle specifically for us that will then go on the county's list of vehicles so that when it hits salvage time, it'll be on the replacement list. So exact prices, make and model was not something that is attainable for me. I was told to give a description of what we would want and any bells and whistles on it. And then I think that it's really based on whatever the federal and state contracts are that the county goes through for their vehicles. So we have asked for an extended cab mid-size pickup truck, basically like a three-quarter. So you have the front seat, but the back seat is more of a jump seat. But we want a door because he does keep his files and paperwork back there, so we can't be dragging it back and forth. And the cab, the back bed, occasionally we have to pick up some illicit alcohol, which usually meant I was leaving the office with my pickup truck, you know, and picking up stuff. Or occasionally we'll go on site and do a RAST class, in which case all our screen, projector, all our materials go in the back of somebody's vehicle, and usually my pickup truck. But it would be used, and it is easy on gas, because we both have these mid-size pickup trucks, so we know what kind of mileage we get. So the price they told us, and we with the pickup trucks, they come very base, so we were told, you know, running boards, a bed cover, that kind of stuff we'd have to add in there. So we added that in, and procurement gave us a roundabout estimate of $35,000. It is a 5-year lease payment of $8,050, so our budget would be increased by this $8,050 for the next 5 years, and then I'm not quite sure how it rolls from there. But we already have a fuel budget. We already have an oil change. You know, all of that is included in transportation budgets, replacement tires and that kind of stuff. So that doesn't come out of our funds. So that is that's the only increase I'm asking for, and it equates to, if you look on page 3, it equates to a 1.83% increase to our current budget. Now, payroll, benefits, usually healthcare, are out of our control how they go up. So what I've given you as far as our payroll, personnel funds are based on our numbers this year. So if the county commissioners approve merit raises and COLA, that's out of our hands. We don't even know what those are until July 1 or April when the budget is approved. Any increases in health care would be thrown on there. And those we've never had control over. I mean, it is what it is. It's a market thing, and it's what the county commissioners see fit to increase as far as merit increases and COLAs. That has always been, and they adjust that up in finance when the budget is approved. So those numbers may go up, and they do go up every year, but that's not something that I can predict what they're going to be for you. But we're a pretty small budget.
Typically, Tammy, what do you see as far as a COLA for the employees?
It's
3%?
usually about 1 to 3%.
1 to 3? Okay.
Now, the past couple years, and I think we finally had the last increment of that, there was to go up with the minimum wage, they had to rescale the whole county. So we had those increases, which were much larger, but I think they did that over 3 years, and we've had our final increase on that, on our hourly wages. So that also took an effect.
One other question is, when does this get submitted to the county commissioners?
I have to submit this to them, 4 copies, signed, approved by this board, the day after your January board meeting, so January 14th.
Okay.
So I've put this as a draft as just for your discussion or any input, questions, and then next month I will be asking for your final vote.
Okay, very good. And then, of course, they don't make a decision on that until June,
April,
July?
Yeah.
Something
Well,
like that?
it's
Well,
when
it
they
goes
have.
through the whole budget process.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And I will probably have to go to one of the work sessions to be there to answer any questions in regards to that vehicle, but I have spoken to Finance, understands, and of course, we have the recommendation from Transportation, and I have mentioned it to a few of the county commissioners, so they do understand. It's not going to be a surprise for most of them. It just comes down to, can they afford it? And, without that vehicle, it would actually probably run them more money because, and it's also wear and tear on the inspector's private vehicle, which is not part of the job, wasn't part of the job description when he came on. So.
Hey, Tammy, just, I fully support the acquisition of the vehicle. Looks like you guys need that. My question is, it sounds like, is this a lease arrangement, like a 5-year lease at $8,000 a year?
It's 5 years, but I think we keep that vehicle beyond that.
Okay.
I think this is what procurement told me,
Okay.
that it is a 5-year lease, and I asked him, so what happens after 5 years? I don't know if it goes on a replacement list. I guess it depends. I don't think it really, I think replacement is based on mileage. At least when I see the meetings with the sheriff asking
Yeah.
for vehicles, it's on mileage.
Right, so I'm just questioning from the financial perspective. If this was my case, I would just go right ahead and acquire this vehicle because for $8,000 lease, that's a $670 per month.
Right.
That's a pretty high lease amount. So
Yeah.
I'm just,
I don't think we have a choice. I think that's the contract. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Just do the flat-out purchase
right out
versus the-
purchase, it would be cheaper in the
But
long
I
run, yeah.
think the way, and I think that's just a county policy and their contracts on how they get vehicles. I don't think they have a choice.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ugh, I think county should rethink a lot of the way we do things here.
Although $35,000 total for a mid-size pickup
Yeah.
is really low in cost overall. Because I can't touch a brand-new,
Yeah,
I
it's
couldn't
downright
replace my
cheap.
truck for that.
No, they're, new ones run around 50
Especially not in today's market.
And the costs are going up. The
Yes.
costs are going up. I was told, and that price was with the thought, because I think there were some vehicles that were supposed to be purchased for other departments this fiscal year, that due to COVID and the supply issues, that one dealer actually had to break their contract. And when they went to another dealer, the costs were substantially higher, that they couldn't buy those vehicles. So we don't expect it to be more than that. Could be less, I'm hoping.
Yeah.
But I wasn't given a choice of a right-out buy, and it comes through procurement. We're on the receiving end. So you should see us trying to buy toner cartridges for printers. Don't ask Susie about that. Just don't.
Similar to dealing with the U.S. government.
Yeah, I'm thinking if you work as a contractor, you might have an idea how that rolls.
Any other questions?
No.
Okay.
All right. I think that's it for me. I just did want to say that we have opened up and started getting people signed up for RAST. We're catching all the people that we've missed in the last 2 years. So we're catching up on all of those. Kevin and I have tweaked the program so we can, and Susie's made reservations so that we're getting like-type businesses in at one time so that Kevin and I can concentrate on just their type of business versus having to do the whole program for every type of license we have and people sitting there listening to stuff that doesn't apply to them. And that's why we get them in and out quickly. We're trying to be COVID-friendly. Is that right? You know what I mean. and keep our business people as safe as possible. A lot of businesses are like, oh, can I get my employees in there now? No, you got to wait till we get the predominant ones that we've missed that we need to get in there. We have, like you see, we have the officer change for AMC, and a lot of our big corporates, they change officers pretty regularly. A lot of these officers are out of state. We expect them all, we have not put them on the training list for two reasons. One, they're out of state and rules for traveling are different state to state, and I don't want to be the one that brings in variant, whatever the next letter of the alphabet is, into the county. Or maybe they won't be allowed to travel, because even in county government, we had a travel ban for a while unless absolutely necessary. Two, because of COVID and finances, a lot of these things are, to travel here is really fiscally a hardship, I think, personally. And then come renewal, half of these people may not even no longer be licensees. We may get changes. So we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So we're holding off on those licensees. They're also not in the day-to-day part of the business. All right, they're in, some of them are in Kansas. They're not even on the East Coast. So we will bring in the local licensee, and we will be looking at who the day-to-day manager, GM is, and trying to get them trained. So at least we have those boxes checked, and there are people who have our training there. But I did want to let you know that that's where we're standing right now. Come renewal time with changes, we'll see. I'm going to take it case by case. I just think that's the only fair way at this point in time till things get back to the way they should be, that I can do this. Because normally I would get them in, they would have to come down here to be background checked ahead of the officer change meeting anyways, and we would situate them in one of our RAS classes. We'd put all these pieces together because we had a regular RAS class every month. So it wasn't, they were already down in the county or down in Maryland, so it wasn't that much of an expense or push or inconvenience for them. But right now, I just don't think it's feasible to drag them in from out of state. If it's Virginian, we, like I said, we're taking on case by case. We have some Virginia people who come back and forth in here, and they don't have a problem with it. But when you're coming from Kansas, that's a whole nother animal. Or Denver, Colorado. I have people way out there, on these licenses. So just so you know. But yeah, we've got one set up every 2 weeks. And now that we have our own building with our own training room, we have a lot of flexibility in catching up. But 2 a month was about all we can handle and still carry our regular workload. So January 4th is the first class, and then every 2 weeks thereafter, until we get them all caught up. And then we'll start phasing in our regular classes for newbies as well, to try and fit them in the classes that we do set up, so that we don't get behind again, and we get to task, we get where we need to be. And then we can let in their employees. And that's it.
That's it. I know I got a bad history of skipping the alcohol enforcement coordinator report. I'm going to remember today. Has everybody got the report? Did you see it?
Did.
Okay.
I may not have been able to get that from Mr. Shin, because I think I sent that as a separate attachment.
Oh,
Did you give that to Richard?
There you go.
Oh, here, I got it.
Oh.
Thank you.
Looks like there was quite a few more compliance checks than we normally see. Looks like there's 20.
Out of the 26, 16 were under a covert operation, so an underage CI gone in.
Very good. Okay. Thank you to Sergeant Myers for that work. Board Inspector report. Mr. Hall.
Since the last board meeting, I've done 27 inspections, had 3 or 4 follow-ups to go back to get stuff that they didn't have the first time. Say Tammy and I worked on the RAS training. We worked on the RAS room one day, put furniture together one day. So we've been busy in the office. We've also made some phone calls where we saw people were selling alcohol that weren't supposed to be at events and just talked to them. And so
We've been doing a lot of intervention.
So that's pretty much been the last month. So try to get caught up before the end of the year.
Okay. Thank you. Any members have any questions? Thank you. Okay. Beverage Association is not here. Community Alcohol Coordinator, no. Board members' time. Anybody on the board have any questions or comments they want to make? None? Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion, we adjourn the December 9th, it's not the 10th yet, is it? Board of meeting.
Member Hill makes a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Member Watts makes the second. Discussion? None? All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you.